morning and welcome to Mayor's Weekly, and today we're going to have our annual budgeting session. I felt ever since I've been at City Hall that people ought to know how we go about looking after their money and the process that's in place, and it's proven to be a good process, and I don't say that in a boasting manner. The experience underscores what I shared with you, and we talk. This is a repeat performance. Kathy will talk a little bit about how we approach our budgeting process. We're working on that right now, and then we'll wrap up with some new challenges that we're looking at.
That's
right?
true.
So, Kathy, I know we have been having meetings, more to come with our staff, and want to give a general overview.
Sure. Well, what we've been doing the past couple of weeks, Mayor, is just getting our department. We've gotten budget worksheets out to all of our department managers, just giving them an opportunity to take a good look at how they've spent their money this past year, and then wanted them to give some thought about what they feel like they need for fiscal year that will end in 25 from a way of operating expenses, but also what their equipment needs will be for the upcoming year and any repairs that they may need to their facilities. So we started this week, you and I, meeting with those department managers, and I think we have 3 or 4 meetings right after this presentation today. But and what we're seeing is that many of the department managers have seen slight increases in their operating expenses, which we felt like they would as a result of the inflation that we're all dealing with. And then several of them have brought to our attention the need for some facility upgrades. We have a roof replacement we need to do down at the street department, and some added equipment, and we're taking a look at those. And right now we're just compiling all that data, and after all of our departments have had their opportunity to bring their needs to us, then you and I will get back together and we will discuss all the recommendations that they've made to us. Once you and I land on what we think the needs are, then we'll present that to the Jasper City Council, and they'll have their input, and then we'll put that final budget together and present it and get ready for a new year.
Well, Kathy, and I don't want to insult the intelligence of our viewers, but putting it on a very simple note, Department A has a budget, Department B has a budget, and we have a world of historical data that we can look back at, trends, that sort of thing. But all of those things come together, and that's some of the core of the budget. But what makes that budget a budget is the revenue side.
So true.
And therein, there's no magic formula. You have to make a call, don't you, Kathy?
You do, and that's what I do while the departments are looking at their operating. I'm looking at revenue, and I'm looking at all that trending data, particularly focusing on our sales tax, ad valorem, and business license, because those are our top 3 revenue producers in our general fund. But then we have all the special revenue funds that we receive money from the state of Alabama, and then our garbage fund, which is another challenge that we'll have in 2025 because there's some big changes coming in the way of how we will dispose of our garbage, which, you know, we're all going to take a look at real soon.
Well, Kathy, tell the folks about this budgeting process. Is not something that just happens once a year. It's ongoing. Our department heads, you provide our department heads on a monthly basis a report that shows how they're performing relative to their budget. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We do provide that. In fact, they can look at every day. They can take a look at how their departments are performing because they have an opportunity to see exactly what I see. But I do spend at the end of every month, I'm going to try to have a report ready to you and the Jasper City Council that sort of summarizes the key points that I see as it relates to our revenue and our operating expenses, just so we can keep that data in front of everybody so that something just goes that, you know, happens and we're not all aware of it.
Well, Kathy, you do a good job, and I guess you could be a little overzealous and overshoot things, and you don't do that. You share with the council your basis for the revenue that you're budgeting, and you're thinking behind it. This is going to grow. We may take a hit here, that sort of thing. And so they know that you didn't just reach out in the clouds and grab something. There's some merit to those numbers, and what I've seen since I've been here, they've worked out nicely.
Well, and you know, it takes everybody working together to make that work out nicely, and I think we have a group of people that are very conscientious and sincere about the jobs they're doing at our department level. And, you know, we've had great success the past several years, Mayor, under your leadership. We thank you for that.
Well, another thing that jumps out at me year after year is the performance of our department heads and how sensitive they are to staying within budget, and they do a great job of that, don't they?
They really do. In fact, they'll get very very concerned if they've had a line item in their budget go over. And that's what we want them to do. We want them to be conscientious and knowledgeable that has happened, and we're going to make sure that whatever their needs are, that they get what they need to make their departments operate efficiently.
Well, you'll recall this, Kathy, and when I came here, and this is just generally a government mindset. If you have something left in your budget, you charge out and spend it. You don't want to leave anything on the table. And so I began to talk to our people, and I said, I want you to run your department in a satisfactory manner as you can run it, and at the same time leave as much on the table as you can. And there was quite a bit of head scratching, and I would hear, well, I still have it in my budget, and that's good. That doesn't mean you have to spend it, and that certainly has been a contributor in my mind to the good numbers that we've turned in.
I think it has. I think they know that they can leave money in their budget, and we're not just going to take that away from them because they had money left, because we're very much aware that operations change every year. Maybe they did have some this year, but the needs in the next year might be greater. So, and that came from your thinking and when you were first elected, and you got that message across to them, and so it's just worked so much better.
Right, right. Now, Kathy, let's talk about something you and I've talked about off and on for some time. New challenges, and challenges can have bad connotations. These are not the case here. Just things are evolving, things are moving along in a positive manner, and certainly the changes that we're about to deal with bring on added expense, and what will those numbers be? Big question mark. Want to talk about that, Kathy?
Sure. Now, Mayor, in 2025, we're going to open the new City Hall. And we realize that with that opening, we've got some additional expenses associated with it. And we're going to make an attempt to predict or to provide some extra operating costs for that facility. And we'll adjust those as we get actual information in. But so we have that will come on board, looking at making the Memorial Park. Hopefully we'll have some big improvements made in 2025 in that area. We're not real sure yet what that will look like. And with challenges, the landfill, it will be one of our bigger ones, as we know that the Bryan landfill is scheduled to close in the early part of 2025. So we're taking a look at how that affects that operations in the way of, do we need to build a transfer station? We'll hear from Carmen Harris, who's done a lot of work in that and studying that and going to other places and working with specialists on the building of a transfer station. I think we'll hear from her real soon, maybe at this next work session coming up, about what she's learned in that area. And, we'll have to pay a tipping fee at another facility that we have not had to with the county facility. So all those things will happen during 2025, and we'll have an election in 2025. So that's an added expense as well. But we're all knowledgeable of those, and we'll provide for those, and we'll be ready for them.
Yep. Well, Kathy, let's touch on this, and we'll wrap up with this. The subject of budget amendments. You go out, the council approves a budget of X dollars expenses and X dollars of revenues, and as we all know, none of us can see a second into the future. And with those changes, there have to be budget amendments. And nobody is a bigger stickler for those budget amendments than you are, because that keeps things in focus. And Kathy, when something comes along, an extraordinary item, and we'll say in Department A or whatever, and it's determined that there's got to be a budget amendment, that means that you've increased their budgets so they can deal with the expense. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Most of the budget amendments would be more for projects that come up during the year that's not within their normal operating budgets.
If it was a general operation thing, and we would probably swoop in on that and get that taken care of. But the timeliness of them, Kathy, you try to do those within what, from the time you're made aware of it, the council probably happens within a month or less, does it not?
Absolutely. We want to get that funding approved by the council before that project starts, and and if our department manager comes in and he's got a piece of equipment broken down that's preventing him from being able to to get jobs done that he needs to get, completed, then, we're gonna try to get that very, very quickly before them and get that things taken care of.
Well, Kathy just touched on something, and this is an example. In our street department, we have a piece of equipment that's referred to as the Tiger mower, and this is a large tractor with a boom and a mowing apparatus that reaches out and will cut limbs at an elevated level and that sort of thing. And the machine's been in service for a good number of years, and it's experienced some problems, not unexpected, and you don't get by without one of those. And we're seeing this work session that's coming up, we probably see a budget amendment to replace that piece of equipment. We have to have that piece of equipment to do the things that we do in the city. So those are the things that prompt budget amendment. And by doing those on a timely basis, then we can see, as Kathy pointed out, on a daily basis how we're progressing. And another thing that supports Kathy's work, Kathy generates a management report every month that talks about our various income streams, what's happening in expenses, and how we project that we'll perform at a fiscal year end. And it's a great management tool, and but the only reason the way this operation set up that we would be in the dark is if we elected to be in the dark. The information's there on a daily basis. So I share this with you. If you ever have any questions about how this city is performing, whatever, you come by and see us, and we can answer those questions in rapid fashion, I'd say, wouldn't you, Kathy?
Absolutely. I like to talk about numbers, so I welcome anyone that would like to take a look at any of our financial data.
If we have a problem, it's not going to slip up on us. We'll know it's coming.
No, sir.
That's good. Okay. So if you have questions about our budgeting process, we'd love to hear from you. We're pleased with the control mechanisms we have in place. They've worked well for us. There's evidence that the money's been managed well, and that's our focus every day, to build a better Jasper, and that's a piece of it. So pleased to be with you today. If you have questions, let us hear from you.